Hi guys, the quickest heads up you can find. It's all about goal setting, but in a different way. It's not the secret way, but it's a way that people never tell you. And once you get this and add it to all the other skills you've got, you'll be making those goals, those dreams come into your reality quicker than you can ever imagine. Okay? So just have a listen. I know you'll really enjoy it. Cluffy guarantee.
Hello, and I'm here by duty and honour of my country to warn you you're entering into the personal space of personal development unplugged, and it may seriously make your life so much better. Thank you.
Hey, my name's Paul Clough, and I'm part of, this little niche I'm creating, I hope. The niche of unplugged personal development. You see, nothing will change in your life if you don't change first. That's the rules. And in this genre of personal development, self-change, self-development, of becoming that better you, things have just been made far too complicated. Anyway, that's what I believe. I don't know why, but I've got an idea that it just makes the people who make it more complicated, make them feel better. It doesn't help us. And that's what I want to do. I want you to get your dreams, to know that whatever happened in the past was the past, and we can change our life, change who we are, back to who we really are. It's a bit like dehypnotizing, taking away all the things that don't work and find better ways. And that's why I've created this podcast, to break down these overcomplicated ways and produce and develop some really powerful but yet simple ways that will allow you to shine your light, to be who you really want to be. That's a bit way out there, but I just want you to be who you really want to be, because that's who you started off to be. And using things like hypnosis, NLP, so many more things, and for one reason only. So you can, if you choose, to come along for this adventure, to become that real you. Sing, as I say, with your real voice. Shine, be there. Turn up being you, the real you, without any trying, and break through those personal barriers. And as I said before, we're not going to fix the stuff that didn't work, because the very reason it didn't work is because it doesn't work. But we're going to find better ways. Not painful ways. There is no pain, no gain. That's tosh. We want to find pleasurable ways, passionate ways. Everything you can do to realize the opportunities to create your dreams and actualize them. Learn the skills that make it happen. All down to not creating that old you, but to find that real you. So that's why we're here. If you're up for that adventure, listen on.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hi guys, and I wanted to talk to you about, reminding you of something, but also going back to this thing about creating our dreams, creating our goals. And this is a bit more of a, not more emotional and all that type of stuff. It's just a simple way of setting out to get your goals. Because an experience of mine years ago, I used to go on holiday, and when things were so hot in the sun, I used to go back to the hotel room and just in the afternoon spend some time goal setting. I was very weird that way. And following Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a wonderful American, big man, big in the self-development world, and a massive changer, and helping people change. And so I was going through his program, and I was doing his goal setting. And I'd made a goal, and I'd forgotten about it. And that's one of the great things about sometimes goal setting, is letting it go. But the thing is, I let it go, and I did no planning whatsoever, and it came to fruition. And it was the worst goal I'd ever achieved. It caused so many problems, and it created, I can't, it would take too long to explain all the things that actually went wrong. And I learnt from that, because I was never, ever, ever, ever going to let that happen again. So let's move on in time to my youngest son Joseph and I were doing NLP trainings, NLP and hypnosis trainings, training people to become master hypnotists, to become practitioners of NLP and timeline therapy. And we were doing reasonably well. We were generally doing maybe 1 or 2 practitioners a year with our hypnotherapy clinic and things like that. And we decided we would like to change. We wanted to do more of the trainings. So we took some coaching, and we got this guy to help us. And the thing is, he taught us exactly what we already knew. And that's the whole point of like this podcast. It's reminding you of the things that you already know, but you're just not using sometimes. And we really needed it. And what we said was, well, we wanted more NLP practitioner trainings in the year. That was our goal. So we said, well, how many? We said, well, just more, please. Well, let's get a bit more specific. How would you like it? How many? And we said, well, we'd also like to do another master practitioner. So, well, just the one? Well, I think so. So he said, okay, well, when do you want it done? When do you need this? And I said, well, we'd like to do one in, say, November, but we'd also like to do one a bit earlier on in the year. He said, okay, put some dates down. I said, well, we can't really put dates down because we haven't got people. Put some dates down. And we did exactly what we know. We worked backwards from the goal, which seems sort of counterintuitive, but actually is so blooming common sense. Because we knew the steps of what we needed to do, but we didn't know exactly the right order. And when you work backwards from a goal, so here's my goal, what do I need to do just before the goal has come to fruition? So if I've got this practitioner training, what do I need to do 1 week before that? Well, I've got to make sure the hotel and everything is dead right. And I've got to make sure everybody is ready. And then what have I got to do a month before that? Maybe I've got to check up on the pre-study. And what have I got to do before that? Well, I've got to then get the enrollments. And what have I got to do before that? Well, we do a taster weekend, but it was more than a taster weekend. It was a real experiential weekend. It's called Be Your Potential. And we do that and then go, well, okay, but then that's it, isn't it? Well, no. How long does it take to get to the people into your weekend? You'll Be Your Potential weekend. So we said, well, need to be a bit longer than that. So then we went, so if we had people signing up then you've got to book. And then, well, maybe you need some videos, some emails to go out. And we worked all the way back to the very moment, in fact, sitting with this coach, this guy. And then we put dates down. And we knew exactly what we were going to do and exactly what we were going to measure. Because the old saying, what gets measured gets done. I don't know if that's the old saying. But we measured what we did. And each time we did it, if we missed a date, we damn made sure that we got it back. Because we knew everything was linked to the next step. And we broke it down into what we said, baby steps. So each step was a nice small step, but we knew it had a domino effect. So every time we did that step, the next step would come along, and the next step would come along. And because we did it with an aim in mind, a real aim in mind, an aim in mind for the next step, but an aim in mind for the weekend, with an aim in mind for the practitioner and an aim in mind for the master practitioner, we had all these wonderful goals set out. And here's the thing. One of the things we didn't do is we were asked, well, on this weekend, don't do a weekend. Just do an afternoon, a taster afternoon. Wow some people with a wonderful technique and then say, run back to the back of the room, put your hands up and sign up. We said, well, we can't do that. We don't sell like that. I know a lot of people at that time were selling like that. If you don't buy now, this moment in time, then you won't get it at this deal and things like that. And that was against our morals, our values. What we said was, no, we would do our weekend, but we would do it for such a ridiculous price. Just enough to cover the cost of the room. And we put even sandwiches on for the weekend. Never done that before. And it was such a ridiculously low price that we needed a lot of people in to just cover the cost. But we did that. And we got the biggest attendance that weekend. It was amazing because we stuck to our values, to give value, to give service, to give people a real experience, not just a wow factor, but something that they can take home with them and use for the rest of their life and actually influence the rest of their life and change. So we did that. And I think because of that, we said to people, well, we'll give you a demo of what we do. And if you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, there's a bit of a discount, but you've got at least 7 days to think about it, to talk to us, because we'd like to talk to you first, because we don't want you to make an instant decision, because we don't want any, buyer's remorse or anything like that. Really want you to come along on the journey or the adventure with us. So we did that. And do you know what? Having had the biggest weekend, we had 2 practitioners and 2 master practitioners. It was our best year ever. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so we use that principle now to not just say, well, we're doing a practitioner and it's, so many weeks ahead, so we start now. No, let's go from the end, having completed the practitioner, done our feedback, making sure everyone's resourceful when they leave, to the practitioner dates, and then things like that. And I use this now for all sorts of things. In fact, it's the very skeleton I used for my Supreme Inner Confidence program. And that's based on 3 steps. The actual steps of the program are, the very last step is, how do you want to be in the future? Let's set a wonderful future. But that then is dependent on being and having high self-esteem and inner confidence in the now. Because if you haven't got it in the now, you won't be able to set that future. But that step is totally dependent on clearing away anything that was stopping you from having supreme inner confidence and high self-esteem. And then from there, so now I knew the steps in there, I then created the steps that I needed for each individual part of that program. Because each part of that program is split up into 2. So we've got 6 parts of a program. And I just wrote it out in my project book, step by step, going backwards and backwards until I got to the very first introductory video. And that was the very last thing that I recorded, because that was the thing that tells everyone about everything that was in it. So it couldn't have been the first thing, but that's what most people do. And say, well, first of all, let's do the introductory video, and then we'll go into that. And it just goes reels of cotton, rotten. It gets silly. So all these things, all the things that we know, and this is the whole point about this podcast, I think, is I know that you know this stuff, but sometimes we need a reminder, a metaphorical kick up the pants sometimes. I know I do. For all the things I know, do I use all the things I know all the time? Absolutely bloody not. Of course I don't, because I'm human. We're all human. But we've all got wonderful hearts, and we've all got wonderful memories, and we've all got wonderful unconscious minds that can allow us to have the information when we want them. We just have to remind the unconscious mind. How do we do that? Sometimes it's just simply setting an intention. Sometimes it's then setting the state for that intention. So we become aligned with what we want, get the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What will it feel like when we have that goal? And when we do all of that, things will just seem to happen. So what goals do you have? What goals do you really have? And can you work back from them? And the answer to that is obviously yes. Because when you start doing this and you put it on paper, we get our Jenny journal out, or we get our Peter project journal, whatever you want to call it, have your project journal. Mine's yellow because I love yellow. And just going through that project, what's the last thing that needs to happen? And what has to happen just before that? and what has to happen just before that. Because sometimes that can start to be, well, makes things very clear, clarifies a lot of stuff, but also can start to produce overwhelm, but then it dissipates because you can break that down and put it into little compartments. So I'm just going to concentrate on this bit. I can hold the big picture in mind, but I also know all the components, the smaller parts. And if I just concentrate on this one small part and hold the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the goal in mind, the big picture, I'm going to do that small piece just the way it needs to be done. And then I can put it in a compartment which says done. And I can tick it off in my project book. And then I go on to the next bit. And you see, sometimes, like doing that project, the Supreme Inner Confidence project, when I knew all the steps, if there was something that really came to mind that would be really good, I could either write it down or I could create that hypnosis track there and then, knowing that where it fits in the timeline of that project. So I never got overwhelmed, and I could always come back to that skeleton where I put the flesh on and know exactly where I am. So overwhelm it just wasn't there. And you get more and more confident in doing those little pieces because you know it's going to head somewhere. And sometimes you can actually start measuring the results you're getting. You know, if it's a goal to improve your skills, you can measure along the way to notice how your skills are improving. You know, and it's just sometimes getting that clarity, the fact that you can ask people. You know, we go to that well-formed outcome. You know, the coaching that I did on the last podcast, I think it's 89.1.2, and go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. They're all there. There's a coaching, verbal coaching, and a hypnosis track for it, which really, you know, once you start to think of all your resources and you have a plan, it's just a matter of then just integrating the resources to the plan. And if you then know that you haven't got the resources and you need to find some, you know you can go and get them because you have the intention of succeeding, success. And that's all we have to do. And this could be a major life change, or it could be a small little thing you're doing, just planning a holiday, or it could be your career, or it could be a project that you've got at work, a project you've got at home. You know, how would you write a book? Maybe start from the end and then come back to the beginning. And in fact, I do know, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a guy who, I think he wrote The Planet of the Apes. And he wrote that book by seeing the closing picture in his mind. I think it was the Statue of Liberty, you know, broken off in the sand. And he had that picture in mind and he wondered, what happened just before that? And what happened just before that? And so that story came out. And it was so predictable because every step meant it was connected to the step that came after. But the way he did it was so ingenious. And it keeps you alive that way. So please do this. I know this podcast is very much more of a hands-on, let's do things. But I think that's it's important that we know how to have these skills, how we can schedule. I mean, get your ritual, because one of the things about rituals are, you know, if I'm working on a project, when am I going to work on this project? Is it going to be random? Or is it going to be every Sunday afternoon, every Monday night, every Tuesday, whatever? Because you have your ritual. And how do I start? Well, I would normally start by looking at the big picture again to remind yourself where you're going. You always need that sense of direction. And then, when you reminded yourself of the outcome, the big picture, you've got your intention, set your state. And we've got all hypnosis tracks of doing all of that at that paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Just go there. There's 25 plus hypnosis tracks there now. A wealth of information to get all this together. And then every goal becomes so achievable. You'll then you'll begin to set bigger goals because you're confident in the way that you're going to achieve it. And that's awesome. And then you can teach this to people. And when you teach, the thing about when you teach people is
you learn it even more. So this, me sharing it with you, is allowing me to teach myself again, to learn it again, to remind myself again. And we can always do with that little reminder, that metaphorical kick up the bum. So just get Jenny out maybe and just write out randomly on a page. What are the goals you'd like to do? Forget whether they're possible. Forget the how. You don't need to know the how yet. You can work out the how later. And write down those goals. Let's set our state of being totally curious. Totally curious of wonder what goals will come into my mind, what outcomes I really want, what dreams do I have that I could create right now. And once you set that state and that intention, just allow the pen to write. And then when you've got those goals, those dreams, pick one. And just go through this process of working backwards. When do you want it? What am I going to do just before that? And before that? And before that? And because you've written it down, you can always come back and find one of the other goals, start those as well. Or you can add to them. Just keep doing whatever you choose. And create the life that you want to live in. Create the reality that is your reality. Because at the moment you are creating your reality. But is it the one you want? And knowing that you can create the one you want. Not necessarily easy. You know, we say change is easy, and it is easy and can be easy, but sometimes it takes a little bit of work. But hey, a little bit of investment to get a massive return. And how satisfied will you feel? You know, how good will you feel? How empowered will you feel when you have all you need in that way? And you start achieving the things that you really want and more. That's the thing, is and more. Because whatever you think you are, the saying goes, you're more than that. And I believe that, because you'll never know how good you really are until you push that barrier of comfort. That, you know, they call it the comfort barrier, but it's really familiar, the familiar zone. Get out of the familiar zone and, you know, become familiar with the unfamiliar, if that's a thing, you know. Be prepared for the unprepared and things like that. Who knows? I'd love your feedback. And, you know, how this has come across. Has it come across in a way that you can understand easily, effortlessly, and has it made a difference? I'd love your feedback, please. So you can email me, paul@paulclough.co.uk. If not, go to the website, paulclough.co.uk. There's a contact page there. And let me know. And if there's anything I can do for you and create either hypnosis tracks or a podcast to really support that change that you really want, let's do it. If it's a heavy subject, let's do it too. You know, I know there's one or two people who listen here are severely depressed. Not because they're listening, I hope not anyway, but severely depressed. And we need to help. And I want to help. But I just need a little bit more information. So we don't just give these glossy feel-good factors, you know, the secrets of becoming poof or whatever. No, let's do some real work, real change work that is easy and can be quick when we find the key. So we need to do. When you find the right key, it's easy, isn't it? Okay, that'll do for me for the moment. Enjoy making this reality and well, just love every heartbeat. Enjoy every heartbeat. So I'll speak to you real soon. Bye-bye now.
Hey, thanks for listening. And just before you go on to do whatever you're going to do now, I'd just like to ask just a couple of things, really. One is, obviously, I've talked about sharing. And if you could share this podcast to a few people, pay it forward, that would be absolutely awesome. But also, if you go to places like iTunes, subscribe. Because subscriptions mean that we go into the charts. It means we spread our word to other people. And also a review would be absolutely even more awesome. And also know that obviously hypnosis tracks, they're all at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. They're all there for you. They're all downloadable. So you can put them on any device you like. You can keep them forever with my compliments. And you can make up some wonderful things for yourself. Add processes together and have a great time. And also, if you'd also have a look round at paulcloughonline.com, It's the only thing other than my pocket that supports this show. We don't have advertisers, we don't do interviews and things like that trying to get around. So if you'd have a look on there, there's a couple of good, I believe, are really good courses. There's Supreme Inner Confidence, something to allow you to be who you really are, be authentic, know that you've got inner strength, you've got all the competence and confidence that you ever want. And there's also Free Your Life from Anxiety. That has 5 days. The first 5 days are absolutely free. You get an email every day with new things to do. And at the end of those 5 days, you may even have let go of that anxiety. That's my aim. And if not, you move on to the next part of the program. They're all there. There's a couple of other paid hypnosis tracks where we've done a series of processes for you, such as creating that inner mind palace and things like that, or real deep relaxation. But anyway, please have a look. It would be great if you did. Love some feedback. You can always contact me through my website, Paul Clough Online. No, it's not. It's paulclough.co.uk. And you can contact me through that webpage. And you can also contact me on email, paul@paulclough.co.uk. Love your feedback. Love your questions. Love you. Okay. Have more fun than you can stand.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.